Now, joining me on India First is Ambassador Veena Sikri, a former top diplomat, has been a High Commissioner to Bangladesh. Dr. Tara Karthas, former Director of the National Security Council Secretariat. John Rosmando is a geopolitical and national security strategist and a former senior analyst for counter-terrorism. Joining us on the show from the United States of America, Sushant Sareen is a senior fellow at the Observer Research Foundation, someone who tracks the US and Pakistan very closely. Ambassador Sikri, does the US silence speak louder than its words? What do you make of what Asim Munir said and what US should have said and didn't?
Well, yes, I think it is quite shocking that Asim Munir should make such a statement from American soil. And nobody in the American administration, leave alone President Trump, has cared to say anything about it. This is absolutely shocking considering the comprehensive strategic partnership with India. And of course, our MEA has made a strong statement. But my overall feeling is that President Trump is right now preoccupied, or shall I say, obsessed with only one thing, concluding a trade deal with China. And this, is something that is driving him. That's why he's given the extra 90 days now to China, which is absolutely quite shocking in itself, because obviously the trade deal that he was looking for has not yet been concluded. The talks have been going on for quite a while in different parts of the world, but clearly that has not been concluded. Another 90 days has been given. And in this process of working on this trade deal with China, he is trying to show to China that, look, Pakistan is not yours, it is mine too. And he's showing the Pakistan card. Bangladesh is not yours, it is mine too. And he's, showing the Bangladesh card. And a lot of American diplomats are very, very active in Bangladesh at this point. He's even showing the Myanmar card that, look, I mean, he's withdrawn the sanctions about certain individuals in Myanmar that had earlier been given to them. So in my view, this is something that is driving him very strongly. But I can agree that certainly for what this means for the India-US strategic partnership is something that we have to look at very carefully, because the business of putting a 50%, the 20% extra tariff on India just for buying Russian oil at a time when China is buying much more Russian oil. Turkey, a NATO member, is buying more Russian oil from Russia than India does. And knowing that India has started buying Russian oil after discussion with the USA. Eric Garcetti had made a very clear statement that we asked India to buy Russian oil with a price cap so as to keep the...
So all indications he doesn't care. Dr. Tara Kartha, transactional Trump chooses Pakistan over a comprehensive strategic partner, India. Is that an indication that the CENTCOM in the US is saying that, look, we need Pakistan? PACOM, or the INT-PACOM as it was called, is not sure how Quad is moving forward in a year when India is hosting the Quad summit. So all indications are that he thinks the relationship with India may remain iffy. That's why he'd rather encircle India and do what, as Ambassador Sikri said, do what he thinks is in America's best interest.
Well, I think the Americans have always acted in their best interest. I mean, they have never bothered about any ally. Forget about us. It's not, they don't even bother. I mean, look at that pipeline which burst, which was in Europe, the Russia-Europe pipeline. Has there any investigation been done into that? Nothing. So let's not go down that road. However, I do believe what you're saying is absolutely right. This whole Asim Munir, going to Washington, the second time around again he goes, he's going for Kurilla's retirement party. This is a CENTCOM rewards program. It's very clear. And in that, I would also include that BLA Majid Brigade designation. BLA was already designated. Yes. Now you've got this Majid Brigade. This is all a return gifts issue which is going on. And it is, if you see the readout of between Secretary Rubio and Foreign Minister Dar between Pakistan, it only talks about one thing in specific, that is Iran. Yes. So there is a very strong wave, different ways, I don't know how, where Pakistan is being used for Iran and also counter-terrorism they're saying counter-terrorism on Islamic State, which is Pakistan's, little toffee which they can use when they want to go and but this whole rant which you referred to, at some level it is, I mean, at one level you don't know whether to laugh or to cry, right? I mean, the kind of things he said. But it's a very serious thing, and there will be parts of the United States government which will not look very kindly on this. There is a strong non proliferation lobby which will see this statement as dangerous. And that is what we need to build on.
Okay. Sushant Sareen, there are American analysts who've described Asim Munir as Osama bin Laden in a suit or a uniform. Now, is Asim Munir signaling to the world, dare not ignore the Pakistani nukes despite Operation Sindoor? Because I will not just take down India, I will self-destruct unless you pay me more money, and America wants to pay him more money to counter, in your appreciation, counter China or checkmate Iran?
Look, I think it's a rather complicated situation. If what Ambassador Sikri and Tara are saying is correct, I'm not so worried. Then it's fine. It's just fun and games. My fear is that it's a lot worse than that. And we might be making a mistake if we think that what is happening currently between India and the United States is a kind of an aberration. And like Tara says, that there are people in the non-proliferation lobby who will be very angry, fat lot of good that will do to us. And what is the influence that they wield in the American system today? Unless you're Steve Witkoff or you're some other crony of Trump, what is the influence you wield in the United States today? Right? Whom does he listen to? Does he listen to any of those various professionals in the various newspapers in the think tank? He doesn't listen to anybody, right? And it's very clear the direction in which things are moving. Now, initially, I would have been of the same view as my other two colleagues, but I think that increasingly we are seeing signs that this is a relationship which is probably already a train wreck. The damage is not
It's
being
already a
witnessed as of
train wreck.
it's already a train wreck, yeah. Tell me something. Gaurav, I have been hearing for at least the last 25, 30 years, we cannot trust the Americans. Okay.
Yes.
And a lot of us who were very keen on a closer relationship with the United States, we used to say that no, that is something which was in the past. And we were always told that the Americans deliberately prop up the Pakistanis as a lever against India. This was, call it folklore, call it what you want, call it
Yes.
legend, folklore, give it whatever name you want. And a lot of us were very skeptical about it. Today, I think there is a lot of truth in that. Because if Trump, as people like Hussein Haqqani and others are suggesting, is using Pakistan to finger us to get some concessions out of us, then it proves to me that you are now using a country like Pakistan as a lever against me, which is exactly what was being said about the United States in the past, that it will never let peace come in the South Asian region because it wants to keep these guys going hammer and tongs. Now, that is one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is that Trump wants that India and Pakistan should become friends so that he can do business, and that is it. And he doesn't care about history. He does not care about the reality of the situation. He does not care about the complications out here.
Okay.
He has decided in his own mind that this is what must happen. And so, yes, Asim Munir is here. So, Modi, why don't you come over and I'll make you guys shake hands, take a picture, and yes, peace has been established. Is
And give
this
me a
the way?
Nobel Prize. Okay.
Yeah, so I think there is something much, much, much worse which is underway. And the sooner we prepare ourselves for whatever is likely to follow, the better it will be for
So
us.
I'll just come to you
Otherwise,
to elaborate on what is this much, much, much worse, because there are many analysts who are now saying, what you've just said, don't trust the Americans, and we've always told you so. So John Rosmando, your appreciation, what explains the US silence over Asim Munir's desperate rant of taking down half the world if Pakistan faced an existential threat? From the US, you have Pakistan that's issuing a nuclear threat to a comprehensive strategic partner of the US, and not a word from there, sir.
Well, I think that there's a lot of, very muddled, pro-Pakistan sentiment in the State Department. And President Trump is likely listening to, pro-Pakistan sentiments, in the State Department. that look the other way to Pakistan's support for terrorism. This recent designation of the Balochistan Liberation Army as a terrorist organization is a effort to build closer ties with Pakistan, despite looking at Pakistan's support for the jihadis who carried out the Pahalgam attacks last spring. The only thing that they're going to justify this on is the fact that the BLA trained in Al Qaeda camps in Afghanistan.
No, but Donald Trump is the Americans are supposed to be smarter, considering you were able to hunt down, track, and neutralize Osama bin Laden. SEAL Team 6 went in and neutralized Osama bin Laden, the man who was responsible for killing close to 3,000 people in 9/11. More than, close to 3,000 people were killed in Afghanistan, traced back to a large number to Haqqani network, aided, abetted, funded, and fueled by Pakistan. And yet today, Pakistan is America's best friend. Why? Is this a Nobel Prize? Cryptocurrency? Even in Pakistan, people are very skeptical about oil being found in Balochistan.
Well, honestly, I wish I had a good answer for you, because it's the $1,000 question as to President Trump is an enigma. I think that he needs to look at India is more logical ally for the U.S. than Pakistan, which is a military dictatorship that killed American troops in Afghanistan.
Yes.
I think that this is just completely baffling, and honestly, I'm about as confused by this effort to get close to Pakistan as you are, other than perhaps trying to find a way where he can mediate between Pakistan and India by being good cop, bad cop. I wish I could answer the question.
So, Ambassador Sikri, let me bring this to you. Is he trying to ensure that China-Pakistan economic corridor collapses? Whatever investment China has made in Pakistan in CPEC, $30 billion, promised $60 billion, all of that goes down the drain in case America were to invest in Balochistan? Is it to checkmate Iran? What is your reading, ma'am?
Well, I think to checkmate China, certainly, it is very clear that the initial contact with Asim Munir, the famous lunch, etc., was all to do about Iran. And it is also being speculated that maybe those B-2 bombers actually didn't make the 37-hour journey, but actually took off from Pakistan. It could well have been. But I think that, my apprehension, to follow up a little bit on what Sushant has said, my apprehension is that, is America about to agree to a G2 situation with China? Because, this is what, right from the time of Barack Obama, they've been wanting to persuade the USA to accept a G2. That you have your sphere of influence, we have our sphere of influence, etc. And this is the kind of jockeying that is going on for that. And this is what has to be really worrisome for us, because we don't accept that at all. We are very convinced about our strategic autonomy and multi-alignment, and we believe that there should be multipolarity in the world, different groups at different times. So I think we have to accept or anticipate possibilities and plan for it accordingly. Of course, there are many aspects of the Indo-US relationship that are continuing. Many meetings are continuing, many programs are continuing. The NISAR took place, the IMEC meeting took place, and other anticipated meetings are expected to take place. A lot is being put on the next round of trade talks in Delhi in the third week of August to see how they go. Will they be difficult? A lot is being also put on the summit between President Putin and President Trump this Friday.
In Alaska, yes.
Days from now in Alaska. So I think these are a lot of moving parts, but we have to be prepared. We have to anticipate all of this and continue with our programs. You had a very good FTA with the UK, and we are prepared to do one with the EU. I think all are going to go on. So our focus on multipolarity will remain. We are not going to change that. So this is very important, that we're not going to change our progress of
So before I bring in Dr. Tara Kartha, Sushant Sareen, elaborate on what you think could happen, which is much, much worse in the times to come.
So Gaurav, I need to clarify something which John said, which I disagree with, and I think I need to put it out there. He says that the BLA trained in the camps of the Al Qaeda. The BLA and the Al Qaeda have never been good friends. In fact, they've gone hammer and tongs at each other. There's no ideological affinity between them. The BLA is a national liberation movement and not a terrorist organization. I think we need to make that very clear. And in fact, we were told by the Americans that there are no Al Qaeda camps left in
in
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan.
And in fact, it's the American president who has been meeting with Ahmed Shara, who is Al Qaeda. So I don't think I want to go down that road right now. But again, on how things will be much worse. Look, I don't think this is about trade anymore. Ambassador Sikri is very optimistic that maybe some kind of a deal can be worked out. I don't think it's about trade because I think whatever trade deal was negotiated between India and the United States in a spirit of transactionalism and a spirit of give and take, the demand from the American side was that it has only to be take and no give. Uh, I think what Trump is looking for is capitulation. What he is looking for is subservience and servility, and he's not getting it. So I don't think you can sign whatever trade deal you want to sign. The fact that he thinks that he can impose the tariffs on India and it's a cost-free option for the United States, it tells you that he doesn't give a rat's ass on what happens to the relations with India. Uh, he's not ready to do that with the Chinese. He's not
Yes.
ready to do it with the Turks. He's not ready to put any kind of sanctions on the Europeans, who are the largest buyers of Russian oil, but he thinks that he can target India and that's a cost-free option. So, let's smell the coffee, yaar. Come on, let's be clear about it. The guy
Okay.
is deliberately trying to burn this relationship down. Uh, if you want, you can try and save it for whatever it's worth, but I don't see much prospect of it, at least for the next 3.5 years. And if another Trumpian character, you can't rule that out, comes into power in the US after 2020, 2028, then 7 years, 7.5 years, and by that time, who knows where the world is going to be.
Okay, Dr. Tarakartha, is that also your appreciation before I bring in, John to respond to this, that Trump doesn't care about India-US relationship anymore, and by all accounts, it would seem so, and the relationship had started fraying. Now, was it just because India did not recommend him for a Nobel Prize or, accept his false claims that he had a role to play in the ceasefire? Could that be the only reason, or is there a deeper game at play here? There are some who are talking about even in the Biden administration, when they messed around in Bangladesh, the aim was regime change Bangladesh, regime change India next.
Regime change Bangladesh, certainly. I mean, there's no two ways on that. I think Ambassador Sikri and I have discussed this earlier also. Regime
Yes.
change in India, all I can say is that historically, no US administration has been comfortable with a country which has a very solid leadership, strong leadership. I mean, vis-a-vis, just look at the continuing tensions between Washington and France, for instance. They've never liked the French. They never liked the French independent nuclear deterrent. So that is a tradition. But I wouldn't go so far as to say that the relationship is on the rocks, because like I always tell you, trade, it's political theater. That is what
Okay.
he's doing, and underneath that is the relationship which goes on in multiple areas,
So
right? There's a one.
trade, technology, strategic partnership, defense, these are three core areas where the effort was to take it forward. If trade is collapsing, technology and strategic partnership, are we moving forward on critical defense technology? Clearly not. I mean, some G404 engines, they may finally start sending. Ambassador Sikri, you wanted to come in the last 30 seconds. I want this part of the show.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
on, ma'am.
yeah. No, but actually, I think that I don't think one should have a completely doomsday approach to this, because then it prevents us from preparing a fight back, a recovery. It prevents all of that. I think that we have to wait and see what is the blowback within USA on the tariffs. It's not too sanguine, because with the prices going up, there's a pressure building up, and also the blowback on things like, are we going to buy the F-35s anymore? Are we going to go through with some
Hopefully
defense
not.
deal? A lot have been put on hold. So, this is a kind of a situation which each side is looking at very carefully. Now, why this whole Trump thing began with Pakistan, whether it was the cryptocurrency, whether it was the visits by, Gentry Beach and others to the US, to Pakistan, and the resultant, it's something because it's so diametrically opposite to what President Trump said in his first term. So this
Yes.
zigzagging means that there could be a zag after the zig. So I think that we are going to keep on to our own foreign policy of strategic autonomy. We're going to, hunker in terms of doing our relations with other groups, working on our relationships with Southeast Asia, with Africa, a lot of other countries. And I
Okay.
think we already see, as far as trade with USA is concerned, the 25% tariffs on certain items. They're also pharma is exempt, iPhones are exempt, all that is exempt.
Yes.
So whatever is impacted, to look at different alternative markets for those, all that is there. And in the meanwhile, you assess and you see what you can do and where you can get in on that. But I think that, on Balochistan, it's a big blow for the Balochistan movement. And, the authors like Selig Harrison have also supported independence for Balochistan. So there's a great groundswell across the world. And now to ban both the Majid Brigade and the BLA, this is, something which is clearly giving in once again to what Asim Munir has asked for. Now, this question of, again, Asim Munir every time getting what he's asking for is just like, writing these blank checks, and Trump is signing off on them. So it is worrisome. It is a matter of great concern, but
Because
we're not given.
okay,
Well,
John Rosmodo, every blank check that the US signed, even in the past for Pakistan, it was paid in blood with American lives lost. But how myopic is the American approach? 9/11, Osama bin Laden found in Abbottabad, 2,700 American and NATO soldiers killed in Afghanistan, traced back to Pakistan, and yet another blank check for Pakistan.
Well, I think the one thing that Vina kind of alluded to is Trump's desire to isolate China. I mean, the BLA targeted the China-Pakistan economic corridor, and perhaps Trump is trying or thinks that he can wean Pakistan away from its dependence on China. That's the only logical or strategic angle that I can think of that
Okay.
Trump is trying to do, because you have the Gwadar port that China's been developing, Karachi. So I think that is about the only strategic angle that I can find with providing Pakistan with carrots. However, as you point out, U.S. policy toward Pakistan in the past has been a complete and utter disaster. Been going to Osama bin Laden,
Yes.
Afghanistan, where the Afghan army and U.S. forces found ISI, people alongside dead Taliban. So
Yep.
I think the U.S. needs to be careful in what it's doing here, and President Trump needs to beware.
I just hope the saner minds prevail in the United States of America. But I guess all eyes now on that meeting in Alaska between President Trump and President Putin. Will something emerge from there? And is this India-US relationship a train wreck, or can it still be salvaged? We'll watch that story closely. To all my guests, many thanks for joining me.